Welcome back to the Gunners Club.
Yes, and welcome to you wherever and whenever you are in the world. You're here on a Saturday night in the Gunners Club with us.
We seem to be spending an awful lot of Saturday nights in here. Is that telling us something about our life?
And with good reason. You want to hear some poetry?
Oh dear.
Let me lay it on you. This is from our friends at Little Creatures, where they've said, if beer was a mythical kingdom, there's no doubt that Stout would rule the realm. Dark, earthy, biscuity and timeless. So we're doing Stouts.
Who would have guessed?
But I've got a good question for you.
Go for it.
If beer was a kingdom, would the king be Guinness?
Very good question. They seem to have the keys to the kingdom.
They seem to.
Yeah. They've certainly cornered the market on it as far as sales. And I do have to admit, I do like a Guinness.
Yeah, I understand there's about 10 million glasses of Guinness served per day. Now that's really quite something. But is it worth the extra money? Is it worth all the fuss? Is it really such a big deal? Guinness are not the first brewery to start brewing a stout, or for that matter, even a porter. So what's all the fuss about? What we're going to do, we're going to compare it to some Australian locals, and then we're even going to compare it back to back and see what the extra stout of the Guinness is like compared to the draft.
The extra stout, okay.
I've actually got a surprise for you.
Oh no, here we go.
Now, it's not that operation you've been hankering for.
For my transition.
Almost as good.
Oh.
Now, you thought they didn't make this anymore. You thought this fell out of circulation. What do we have?
An Abbotsford Invalid Stout.
Yes.
Oh my
Yes.
God. We're going back 45 years when I used to work behind a bar, and all the old codgers, the World War II, World War I veterans would come in on their walking sticks and meekly ask for an invalid stout.
And you know what? Maybe they didn't actually have to be so meek and reticent about it. This was actually pushed as something which was good for health. The name invalid was put in there for a reason. And hospitals and doctors and nurses alike believed that this would actually give some iron. Put a bit of lead into your pencil, and that's really the reason I brought it around for you.
I probably need to drink more of it.
A bit of lead in your pencil.
That's it.
Now, do you want to do the honours? It's been so long, I don't even know if it's a twist top, the Invalid Stout.
Oh, okay. This may be.
Yeah, CUB products are pretty good. And this is actually one of the first Abbotsford products as well, so it goes well past the 50 years of memory that you've got.
Now, for memory, these really
That should be good.
come up with a head.
Yeah, what generally happens with this beer is the head comes up and then dissolves very, very quickly with the Abbotsford Invalid Stout.
That's a very dark beer, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, there is actually a European scale by which you measure the colour. This is something which I think would be around 100. You can actually get even higher on that European colour scale than 100, but certainly the colour is there.
But these really feel and like thick.
Perfect for winter.
We go to a pub for a counter lunch, right, with the missus, and she loves her mixed grill, right? Most pubs probably don't even sell mixed grills anymore.
And there is no accounting for taste.
Nothing like a good mixed grill. And I'll usually order, when I order one of those things, I usually order a pint of Guinness. And she's astonished. Her jaw falls to the ground. How can you eat a full meal and a pint of Invalid Stout? She reckons the Invalid Stout is a meal on its own.
Yeah, the jaw dropping and having to pick it up from the floor is something I understand. It's something that's regular for me on a Saturday. Okay,
I'm going to try this.
Porters, stouts, we're talking about winter. We're talking about rich colours. We're talking about biscuity nose. And really the notes which you're looking for are pretty much chocolates and coffees. Biscuit on the nose immediately.
Coffee, I'm getting.
That's great. It's such an underrated beer. It's such an underrated beer. In fact, every time that I buy a bottle of that, I ask myself, why haven't I bought one sooner?
Are you talking the Invalid Stout or are you talking the Guinness?
The Invalid Stout that we're trying right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I have not tried that in, got to be good 20 years.
Yeah, it's like waking up the dead, isn't it?
Yeah.
All those memories are coming back.
Nowadays, I order a stout, I order a Guinness. Oh, there's a lot of coffee in that.
Yeah.
I don't mind that at all.
An amazing amount of coffee in that.
Wow. Breakfast. I love it.
Abbotsford Invalid Stout, it's truly been too long.
I might have to get back onto the horse here.
Well, it's for medicinal reasons. Now, really, what is the difference between a porter and a stout? It can be almost academic. Porters and stouts are both ales. What that means is it's fermented warmer, so it's got a yeast which will float on the top. And the colour is really from the process of the malting. And also you can have a slightly different mix as to the barley that you're using for a stout as you would for a normal porter. Now, I noticed that I actually had to carry these in myself today. There was no help at all, so I was playing the porter. And I understand one of the reasons why these could be called porters is it actually was a drink that was favoured amongst people who were porters for a living, people who carried things. So I think I've deserved this
Is that
one.
a fact, or are you making this up?
Well, I'm not making it up, but along with legend, there can be a great deal of myth, along with stories which are told.
Okay.
So what if we compared something which was really something that was recommended and served in hospitals, so really something for the everyman down on his luck, to something which is a little bit more chic with the little creatures? Did you want to do the honours with that?
Okay, so this is more like a craft stout, if you like.
Yeah, it's hard to know these days because so many of the larger beer companies have got these so-called craft beers under their wing, and this is certainly something which is under, I believe, Lion, Nathan and Kieran. But Little Creatures, I can't tell you exactly where this is brewed because the can is a little bit vague. It's like someone who doesn't want you to know their address.
All right.
It says it's brewed from places all over Australia. Little Creatures traditionally from WA, but there's a beautiful place. If you get a chance to go out one lunch to Geelong, you find that there's the brewery that does Furphies and Little Creatures and White Rabbit all together. And it's in an old industrial complex. It's really
It's not
good
an
fun to go
ex-farm,
out.
is it?
No, it's not. I think it was an old... it's an old industrial complex. I can't remember if it was for bricks. Really worth going to. It's fantastic.
Okay. I'll play mother again, shall I? I don't know, is it my imagination? Or is that not it doesn't feel as thick as the Invalid Stout?
No, I think you're really right. It's not as concentrated.
This is holding its head a whole lot better than the Invalid did.
Well, hold your head up or even hold it back and see what you think of it.
It's got a whole lot more coffee in it, in the Invalid. More coffee in the Invalid Stout. However, it's not taking anything away from this. This is different. It's not bad at all.
Oh, that's good.
Isn't it?
Oh, that's great. I mean, we're just so spoiled. Like I said, we've got half the world's chemists engaged in making alcohol for us, and that's really where they should be. And at nights, they should be back in their cage. But this is really fantastic. Again, biscuit on the nose. It's not the richness of coffee, which I really, really enjoyed of the Invalid Stout. But the way that this goes down is just amazing.
There's a serious amount of difference between them.
One thing which people love about porters and stouts is the velvetiness of it, and there's really no other way of explaining just how rich and wonderful it can go down like a cream.
It feels creamy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think this is what the missus doesn't get. She reckons it's a meal.
No. See, it's not just peasant food. It's not just for the people who are infirm and sick, although we're sort of headed that way. You know what it's like? It's like opening up toffees as a kid, in a way, isn't it?
Yes.
You've got that richness of mouthfeel, you've got that butteriness. Here we've got the velvety feeling.
It's definitely creamy. This holds its head a whole lot longer than the Invalid Stout.
I'm really enamoured with this.
Who would have thunk it?
Who would have thought it? Well, Little Creatures, if you try the other beers, they're absolutely fantastic. So I really should have expected something great, and they have delivered. Now, marching down the line, I think we're going to get a mouthfeel here and a consistency which is basically unbeatable in the whole beer world. Full stop. I don't care what day it is, what Gunners Club you are in, anywhere on earth. I think what we're going to get here is going to be amazing. So the technology which they put into this can and engineered into it itself is something.
This is the classic. This is the king of stout.
I'm not so sure, and we'll talk about that.
Okay. And for those that don't know, you probably can't get it here. Don't get the noise there. But they've got like a marble in there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what they call a widget. So this truly is a widget.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've still never worked out what that was for.
Yeah, it's a bit technical for me, but what we're trying to do is introduce nitrogen into the beer. Nitrogen is not really such a big secret. What you're breathing right now is mostly nitrogen, and it'll give just such a wonderful pouring consistency.
Oh, look at that.
Now, when you're working behind a bar, did you ever have to pour Guinness?
No, I don't think Guinness was even a thing.
Yeah.
It was invalid stout, is what it was.
Because it's quite a ritual, and I think if you're used to ordering a Guinness, particularly somewhere where they know how to do it, you're probably used to the wait of about 10 minutes
Yes.
before you actually get the Guinness in your hands.
Yes.
So you order it, there's the obligatory eye roll, and then there's a sting of what you're paying for it. And then the person behind the bar will start to pour it, come back every couple of minutes and check it, and pour some more and make sure that the head maintains its consistency. But the magic of this is that it should actually have that. So I love the concentration of the head already.
Oh, it's very thick, but this doesn't have that nose of the other two.
Completely different. It's completely
that is
different.
so creamy.
Yeah, that's exactly the word I was about to say. It's really cream.
Wow.
Now we don't have the concentrated coffee we had in the Invalid, and we don't have that glorious side of the mouthfeel that we had with absolute unique taste of the little creatures.
This is like a beer custard. That's what it feels like. It's amazing. Wow.
So we're sorry to do this, that limited, I think, to 10 million people having a glass per day, and that's 2 of them for today that we've used up. So if you're going to be short a couple of coupons, we're sorry about that, but it's worth a try.
And that head just keeps giving. Look at that.
Yeah, there's definitely a priest in that family. Have a look at the collar. Where do you stand on cans versus bottles? Would you go out of your way to buy a bottle as opposed to a can?
I've never seen Invalid Stout in a can. It has always been in a bottle, a stubby. On the other hand, I have never bought a Guinness other than in a can.
Okay.
So it's a complete contradiction.
So it's what you're used to. When I was a young man studying in Germany, part of my education was being taught about beer. And what my teacher taught me is where you can, you buy beer from the barrel. And if you can't from the barrel, then you get it from the glass. The very, very last step would be that you get it from a can.
Okay.
Certainly in terms of preservation, the way it travels, I think the bottles are a good idea.
That's our next video arriving.
That's our next video arriving.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot.
To be sure, to be sure.
Yeah, to be sure. Oh,
Okay. Me, I wouldn't buy this for the taste. It's simply for the sensory experience of that feel of the nitrogen that's been injected into it. It's really quite indescribably good. The one which so far has been the standout for me. If I had to pick
here
one
we
of
go.
the two,
There's a drum roll.
it would probably be the little creatures. But the Abbotsford, I really love the coffee, and someone who enjoys
Yes.
coffee would go for that every time.
Yes.
Every time. And in fact, if it was earlier on in the day, I think it would be the Abbotsford that I'd go for.
Breakfast.
Is it a gunshot breakfast?
That's the one.
So I remember
That's
before.
a very good accounting of it, actually.
I remember before Anzac Day, before the march in the army, being woken up for one of those gunshot breakfasts.
Yes.
Very good fun.
Did you get the fried egg?
I only remember the rum.
There was always a fried egg.
You know what they say about
Speaking of rum,
yes,
we will be doing one on rum.
promise.
Would I let you down?
Now talk about keeping things in the family. Cooper's is the largest Australian-owned brewery. Full stop, because everything else is basically part of a multinational. South Australian family, they were quite religious, and in fact you really had to be in the inner church circle to be able to buy their product at all.
Wow.
Of course now you can buy it in every store, and I buy it gladly. Coopers, though, they're a little bit strange, and we've spoken about it briefly on one video, where they like to keep the residue in their beer. That's not something that you or I are big fans about. They don't strain it. Even when you and I made our own beer at the beer factory, a good friend there at the beer factory,
Yes.
we were able to
How are you,
micro-strain it.
Chris?
We will see you again soon. Again, top fermented. It should have a really natural taste, feel, and look to it, the Coopers. But I think it's going to be one you're going to have to open.
Ah, not a twisty.
I don't think so.
I think you're right. This is my go-to every time I have a stout. However, I think this may have turned me around.
Well, the king is still holding onto his crown with one hand. And we're actually about to enjoy King's birthday as well on Monday.
This is it, yes.
I am very, very keen to try this.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
okay, this looks convincing already. It's been heavily poured, but that's not necessarily a problem. When I went to visit Cult United breweries, we had a brewmaster talk to us about the best way to pour beer. Now, I know the way that most people pour beer is that they will tilt the glass, they'll invert it, and what they'll do is they'll slowly pour onto it. And what they'll do is aim for a little bit of a head and then continue to pour it and to elevate the glass till it's standing perpendicular. But if you've got time, the way that Seuss just poured it then is actually probably the best way to pour beer of all. What it means though is you need extra time for that head to start to concentrate and to start to set, and then you can continue to pour more beer onto it.
Which is how they pour it in a pub, and that's why you got to wait 10 minutes for them to get your glass.
Exactly right.
Yes.
But that is actually looking quite convincing, that head already.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm getting light malt notes. Now, are we going more for a chocolate or for a coffee? I think we're going more for a chocolate with this.
I can't make up my mind.
Now, another difference with Coopers, and I know we've spoken to it, why don't you go back, have a look at the one which we've done on Australian beers, because we talk quite a lot about the pride of Ringwood hops, which is a hops that's uniquely grown in Australia. It's also grown in Tasmania as well, if we consider Tasmania still as being part of Australia. But as we get to the stronger stouts, so this one rejoices in the name of extra stout, as does the Guinness, which we're about to try after this.
Wow.
What we're expecting is a stronger concentration of hops.
This blows the others out of the water, and I can't figure out why. It's not the taste.
It's the hops. It's the hops. That's exactly what you're getting. You're getting a different hops. You're getting uniquely Australian hops to it. You're getting a biscuitiness to it, to the mouth. It's the bitterness. It's the finish of the bitterness.
It's got to be the bitterness. But there's no coffee. There's no, like the others. It's bitter. I agree. It blows the others out of the water, unless you're right into coffee.
Okay, and so there's a reason why I've actually opened these in the order that I have. It's because I wanted to go to the extra stouts at the very end, because it's that extra concentration of the hops, and generally you'll get a slightly high degree of alcohol as well with these two.
So these are higher alcohol content, are they?
They are, but that's also higher hops as well. And there's a reason why we're leading to the finale of that very one. So does the king still hold his crown? Is it worth paying extra money for the Guinness name? The good thing about Guinness is that pretty much everywhere around the world you are going to be able to find a Guinness. Now, the first Guinness which we opened up, which had the widget, that actually was from St James, so it's in Dublin. And it's the place where Guinness was first brewed. You're getting as close to original in Australia. Now, I've heard tales of people who have an uncle who lived close to the factory, and the day that it's brewed, they actually get it in their hand and they say, there is nothing on God's earth like it. Let me tell you, with my home in Tasmania, when Cascade Brewery does their stout, which for some reason you cannot find on mainland Australia, it is so great, the Cascade Stout. That is as close to mother's milk as you can get in your hand as well.
Mother's
so I have
milk.
a feeling I know what you're talking about.
This is not in any particular outstanding flavour, but the bitterness and the creaminess together with this.
It is the full package.
Wow.
Still, at the moment, I think that the Little Creatures was just absolutely divine. Absolutely divine. It's not taking anything away from the Coopers. These flavour profiles we're heading to at the moment are probably a bit closer to the traditional understanding of what the Guinness taste would have been when Guinness first came out. Now, I was holding this back from you.
Oh dear.
The Guinness that we tried, which was the draft, is more watery, although it's the nitrogen which is actually pumped it up and giving you that pouring complexion.
That's right. Yep.
But you're going to find that the Guinness we're about to move on to, the extra stout, is the original Guinness. Not the draft.
Okay, now you're blowing my mind.
And it's been brewed for, I think, more than a century longer than what the draft has been. And that's the reason why we've purposefully moved it across up the scale.
Is there a difference in price here?
Yeah, there is. I mean, you're really paying for the technology of the widget. It's quite remarkable.
Yeah. I get this. This is the classic, as we in modern days like to call it. So is this more expensive than that, bottle for bottle?
I'll tell you, it's probably more academic answer than you want. I was unable to get the draft in anything but that can.
Okay.
And that's going to the largest liquor store that we have in Australia. But secondly, the draft is actually made in St James, so it's from the original factory. The one you've got in your hands right now, the extra stout, is Australian brewed under license.
Oh, of course.
And that's the thing as well with Guinness, is that you are going to be able to find Guinness pretty much anywhere in the civilised world that you're at, because they quite effectively, they sell their licence off. So my thoughts on this.
That's not
I
bad.
could have this for lunch.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not something that I would buy again. I'm sorry, Mr. Cooper, but you're no longer with us, so you're not really going to be taking offence. I still think the two stand out. So these two, the Abbotsford and the Little Creatures, particularly the Little Creatures. But let's see if the king still holds his crown.
I'm starting to feel a little deflated here.
Why though? What is it you hoped for?
I mean, this was my, the Guinness, the classic. This was where I went to get absolution.
Yeah, but as I said, it's not the classic. You're about to open the classic. So let's go for the Guinness Extra Stout.
Is this a twisty?
I don't think it will be, although Aussie
Hang on,
brewed.
yeah, can I use my eye socket? No,
I don't have to bend over again.
I don't have any lube, so it's okay. That's altogether different again.
Now, for the nose, some people choose to use different glasses, and this is basically what you'd use for a lager or something standard like that. But for economy of time, let's move on.
Oh, this is thicker.
Okay, good.
Oh, this is thicker. And look at that head.
Look at that, instant pour, instant head,
Wow.
instant concentration.
Oh, this is
It's
thick.
a higher note.
This is thick. This is like treacle.
What a great sample. Isn't it a good time to be alive? And remember, we do this so you don't have to.
It's the cross we bear. Are you having a happy ending?
Okay, licorice is actually the first thing which comes to my mind. So you're going to be hit immediately. So this is what you're going to experience. It's going to be a higher note on the nose. You are going to be hit with a concentration of flavour. It's going to take you 5 seconds to discern what it is. And then you'll nod your head sagely and say, yeah, there's a strong biscuitiness with a licorice backbone to it.
I'm not getting the licorice, I am getting the bitterness, and that and the bitterness is even more profound than on the Coopers. I'm not getting the licorice. Having said that, my taste buds have seen better days.
So we're probably still at the shallow end of the pool compared to some people living in Dublin. And we'd love to know what your thoughts are.
This is excellent. And you're saying this is the original.
This is the original.
Even though it's the extra stout.
Yeah, and they talk about when Guinness was first made that actually there was an accident in the factory. They actually burnt the product, and then they dutifully had to sell the product that they had, and they thought, well, what do we do? Do we water it down? Do we, wash it down with some of the other product that we had? They actually managed to sell it, and they've actually managed to sell quite a lot of it since as well.
I've had that experience in the kitchen. That's why she won't let me in there anymore.
Well, the difference between you and I is one of us is actually a trade qualified chef. And it's
Which
not me.
one of us?
It's not me. It's not me. Yeah. Can you tell which one of us is the qualified accountant?
This is excellent. I'll tell you where I'm coming down. I know you're into the Little Creatures.
It's wonderful.
Yeah, okay. That's an easy drinking stout. If you love the coffee notes, definitely go for this.
Every single time. Every single time.
You may not be able to buy this overseas. I wish
and
you
in fact,
could.
even in New South Wales, it's very, very hard to get.
I wish you could
It's something
buy
which is peculiar to Victoria.
This was my go-to. Okay? This was it. I'm sorry, you've had your day. This is my new one.
It's the original and the best of the Guinness. It's the original and the best of the Guinness for sure.
I would not have guessed that. I would not have put my money on that.
But
and here I go.
With the King's birthday this very Monday, does the King still hold his crown? Now, I would say no.
Long live big ears.
I would go for the Little Creatures. That's where I put my money.
There's no accounting for taste.
Says a non-accountant. Get back in the kitchen and make me a cake.
Luckily, my feet are smaller. Oh, this is good.
So I don't know. Porters and stouts are not actually an Irish invention at all. It's something which actually was first from England. I'd love to try some of the English stouts and the English porters as well. Some of them are actually available. And we've even got for sale in the shop I went to today, the one which is the oldest brewery in England. Let me know if you're in England and there's one which you really love and you think we'll be able to find it. Please let me know, because I'd love to try. Because what we've been doing is singing the praises of Australian and Irish products when you English folk should have it all over us.
You would think.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we're in the Guinness Club. We have a fire. It's Saturday night. And obviously we're not getting lucky. Or are we?
Well, like the mantra says on your wall, everybody should believe in something. I believe I'll have another beer.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. We love that. Have a good one, guys.